Good evening and welcome to this evening's edition of Primetime News on TV1. I am Jamal Ratnayaka for the Newsfirst team. Before we head into our stories in detail, let's start off with a look at tonight's headlines.
Issues in the plan of Phase 3 of the Colombo Outer Circular Highway. Losses of billions of rupees. People of Vilgamur protest against the feasibility study of Phase 2 of the Mahabali Water Security Investment Program. Final report of the three-member committee appointed to investigate April 21st attacks handed over to President. 3 acting ministers appointed. Sirsa TV celebrates its 21st anniversary. SSC could possibly face bankruptcy within 9 months, claims a sports website.
Now, up first in a news item received a short while ago, the government has decided not to revise fuel prices of 3 out of the 4 categories of fuel according to the fuel price formula. Accordingly, the price of a litre of 92-octane petrol alone will be increased by 3 rupees to 138 a litre with effect from midnight tonight. In more local news, some parties allege that a loss amounting up to billions of rupees have been recorded due to an error in the plan of the third phase of the Colombo Outer Circular Highway. Now, when News First inquired from the Road Development Authority of the matter, they accepted that the country incurred a massive loss due to the flaws in the plan of the said project.
The third phase of the Colombo Outer Circular Highway will be constructed from Kadawatha to Kerawalapitiya, spanning for 9.6 kilometers. Most of that distance will be reinforced by concrete, and the total expenditure of the highway is at 67 billion rupees. According to the engineers of the project, a loss of billions have been recorded due to unnecessarily increasing the number of concrete structures. The Road Development Authority accepted that the cause of this loss is the unnecessary increase of the width and the height of these concrete structures. According to the officials at the Road Development Authority, the construction of the third phase of the Colombo Outer Circular Highway was handed over to the relevant Chinese company in 2016, but the company did not agree to the terms of cutting down the costs. The RDA further states the government should have made a decision at this critical juncture, but instead decided to incur the massive losses, fearing adverse impacts when obtaining loans in the future from China. A considerable distance from Kadawatha in the Colombo Outer Circular Highway has been built on these concrete reinforcements that are wider, and one can clearly distinguish the difference between the reinforcements in Kerawalapitiya and Kadawatha. We inquired a retired engineer of the Road Development Authority about this, and according to him, these massive concrete structures in the Colombo Outer Circular Highway can only be seen in large-scale construction projects where reinforcements such as these are used underwater to withhold strong currents. He further said that these structures have been used to withhold strong objects that might flow and crash onto the highway through floodwaters. Wasn't billions of rupees of the people wasted due to a superfluous construction plan or the third phase of the Colombo Outer Circular Highway? What is the purpose of concealing such a massive wastage of public money from the people? Shouldn't the authorities provide answers to these questions?
The feasibility study for the second phase of the Mahabali Water Security Investment Program is currently underway. However, the locals of Vilgamur oppose the proposed construction.
As proposed in the second phase of the Mahabali Water Security Investment Program, the feasibility study of the proposed construction of the Kaluganga-Murugahakanda Transfer Canal commenced on the 17th of last month.
We are currently in the process of preparing a feasibility report. We will dig approximately 70 to 80 meters, send samples of water and earth to laboratories for tests, and identify whether this area is suitable to construct a waterway. However, prior to everything, we first looked into the conditions of the locals residing in this area.
However, claiming that the proposed construction may pose a threat to farming and other facilities such as drinking water, priests and residents of the area entered the proposed project site to further inquire into this matter.
If the divisional secretary and the farming community is not aware of this, at least the community that is nourished by these waters should have been informed in this regard. What can we do after they commence activities based on such studies? We don't even have sufficient water to fulfill our current needs. We only benefit from the limited water flow from the multiple streams that join to form a river between the Minipe area to Handagamua. If they plan to use this reservoir to provide water to Moragahakanda, what will happen to the locals of this area? Therefore, inform your offices that there is an ongoing protest here. You cannot plan inside air-conditioned rooms. You must feel the earth. Only a feasibility analysis has been commenced so far. We will construct a reservoir here in the future. 50% of the reservoir will be owned by the local community.
The main concern of the locals are the difficulties experienced at present by the residents of the Badula district due to the first phase of the Mahaveli Water Security Investment Programme, the Uma Oya Multipurpose Development Project.
Officials attached to the main office are in charge of this. I have been assigned with another project. I only came here to clarify certain issues.
Our correspondent stated that due to the protest, the feasibility study was temporarily suspended.
3 acting ministers were appointed to the ministerial positions left vacant after the Muslim ministers resigned.
Deputy Minister of Industry and Commerce Buddhika Patirana has been appointed as the Acting Minister of Industry and Commerce, Resettlement of Protracted Displaced Persons, Cooperative Development and Vocational Training and Skills. This position was previously held by Rishad Badiuddin. Lucky Jayawardena has been appointed as the Acting Minister of City Planning, Water Supply and Higher Education, which was previously held by Rauf Hakim. Deputy Minister of Petroleum Resources Development Ano Magamage has been appointed as the Acting Minister of Highways and Road Development and Petroleum Resources Development. This position was previously held by Kabir Hashim.
The special committee appointed to look into the April 21st attacks will convene tomorrow amidst criticism from several factions, including the President. Here are some of the views expressed by the members of the committee and several other parties.
I don't think it is valid at this point of time. I think some have made wrong statements. We as a government with the President and the Prime Minister will not do anything that will create a problem when it comes to national security. So we will hold the discussions and come to a solution.
There is a tradition in the Parliament. If a President has written a letter, that's read out first. But a letter was not read this time. This conflict is not good for the country. What's been done is to see if a collapsed party could be uplifted again, but it won't be successful. We will very soon have discussions with the President and the party and intervene to oppose the actions taken by the Speaker.
We can come to a conclusion based on the statements made by the witnesses. The main intention was put to the responsibility on the President and make it look like this happened due to negligence. We can't accept the actions taken against the President at a time when such actions weren't taken against the Prime Minister.
We clearly say that Ranil Wickremesinghe can't be saved from this. The entire country saw how Jayampati Wickramaratne and M.A. Sumandiran constantly questioned the witnesses if this was informed to the President. Nobody asked if this was informed to the Prime Minister. Only one aspect of it has been revealed. It's doubtful if this is a trustworthy investigation. It is also questionable to which extent this investigation is biased towards a party.
සම්පූර්ණ විමර්ශනයක්ද කියන ප්‍රශ්නේ එතනින් උද්ගත වෙනවා. ඒක කෙතරම් පක්ෂග්‍රාහීද කියන.
In more news from the political sphere now, UNP parliamentarian Dr. Vijayadasa Rajapaksa has written a letter to Speaker Karu Jayasuriya.
The letter was presented as a response to the statement made by the Speaker on the 8th of this month on the special committee appointed to look into the April 21st terror attacks. Quoting articles of the Constitution, Dr. Vijayadasa Rajapaksa points out that the President should put presidential executive powers to action to ensure the safety of the country and says implementing those executive powers with regard to national security is not a responsibility of the legislature. In this letter, the parliamentarian shows that the Parliament does not have the authority to appoint a parliamentary special select committee when it comes to the powers of the executive have on the national security. The letter further states, although the Attorney General is authorized to file cases against those who do not oblige to summons issued on a matter the Parliament has powers on, the Attorney General does not have a power to take legal action on something the law has prohibited. Dr. Vijayadasa also added that exposing intelligence documents, data and methods is a criminal act. The information, photographs and notes collected by the intelligence is included in the Official Secrets Act. The law says that either a jail term of 14 years or a fine of 25,000 rupees will be imposed on whoever reveals this information. There won't be a difference if it is the Prime Minister of the country, the Speaker, an MP or an intelligence officer. The statement made by the Speaker is crucial. He has said the state and the intelligence officials will have to face consequences for not providing evidence in Parliament.
I think
a contract of the Prime Minister and an NGO is being fulfilled here. Meanwhile, MP Dr. Vijayadasa Rajapaksa also commented about the statement made by Inspector General of Police Pujit Jayasundara before the Parliamentary Special Committee. There is no point in the IGP providing statements in Parliament or elsewhere. There is no point in making statements like, I didn't have the right to act in this regard, or that the President or the Prime Minister didn't give me powers to act on it. All those in the security forces are peacekeeping officers. If an officer in the security forces did act on the information received, and if it resulted in a crime, the officer in question will have to face the punishment imposed on the one responsible. The officer should face it even if it is the death sentence. Sentencing to death is the law. I'd like to remind that we will have to implement the law someday if an action is not taken in this regard.
An event organized by the Mahinda Rajapaksa Centre was held in Colombo yesterday.
The theme for the event is the global expansion of ISIS, the impact on Sri Lanka. Prime Minister Ranil Wickremesinghe, Opposition Leader Mahinda Rajapaksa, Speaker Karu Jayasuriya and leading academics were among the many distinguished guests who attended the event. A panel discussion was also held on the theme of the event.
The All Ceylon General Ports Employees Union staged a protest in front of the Colombo port today against the Memorandum of Cooperation reached with Japan and India regarding the Eastern Terminal.
Employees of the Sri Lanka Port Authority who joined the protest state that the installation of machinery is all that's left to complete in the East Terminal. They further point out that it is within the government's capability to provide the required funds of $80 million required to complete the East Terminal, and therefore they cannot approve the joint venture with Japan and India.
Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi came to the island yesterday. We received information that he came to the island to expedite the process of obtaining the port. There is a certain amount of Sri Lankan resources owned by China. China is becoming the most powerful nation in this region. It is clear that America is attempting to establish India here in order to challenge China. Save this port for our future generations without making us pawns in the power struggle between the two nations. Therefore, we ask the government to cancel this agreement, allow this port to function under the Sri Lanka Ports Authority. Now, views were expressed on the Indian Premier's Sri Lankan visit at several news conferences.
Involvement of India as a fellow nation is a threat of some form to our country's unity and unique identity. Everyone tried to eradicate the LTTE for 30 years, but all their efforts fell short because of the Indian impact we had on our war. A platform was provided for the LTTE terrorists to go to India and engage in terrorist activities to train. They were allowed to use the Indian land and plot against our country. If the Prime Minister was really a friend of our nation, he clearly had the ability to take steps to initiate a program to eradicate the Muslim extremism that plagued our country in the recent past. Because the first information of the attack was received from the Indian intelligence units. India could have done something more at a state regimental level to prevent the plague of terrorism in our country. But they did not. If they had in fact supported us in that manner, we would have been able to prevent this massive destruction caused by these Islamic extremists.
Why did the Indian government only inform the intelligence units? Why didn't they inform the president? Why didn't they inform the Prime Minister? India wants to subjugate Sri Lanka. They want to operate our country under their purview. They would like it very much if that happens. On the other side, India wants to keep the ISIS terrorists out of their jurisdiction.
Only when the LTTE became a threat to India, they wanted to destroy it. Before that, they wanted to weaken us by even using one of their puppets to do it. India does the same thing around the region as well. They do it for Nepal, Bhutan and the Maldives. They poke their finger in every neighbouring country's matters.
Meanwhile, the behaviour of Prime Minister Ranil Wickremesinghe during the visit of the Indian Premier was denounced by the opposition.
Time
was allocated by the Indian Prime Minister to meet the President of our country, the opposition leader and the former opposition leader R. Sambandhan. But no time was allocated to meet Prime Minister Ranil Wickremesinghe. Maybe he thought the expiry date of Ranil Wickremesinghe has been met with. So what did our Prime Minister do? He ran to the airport and attended the duties of the protocol minister. He got into Modi's vehicle on his journey to the airport and back. Never has a Prime Minister of a country carried out the duties of the protocol minister. By doing so, he downgraded the Honourable Prime Minister's post of this country. I am honestly disgusted by this. It is shameful to push aside the deputy leader of your party and take his place. The final report of the special three-member committee appointed by President Maithripala Sirisena to investigate the April 21st attacks was handed over to the President today.
Issuing a release, the President's Media Division said Supreme Court Judge Vijit Malalgoda handed over the report to the President at the President's official residence today. President Sirisena appointed a special three-member committee on the 22nd of April to inquire into the cause and other details of the terror attack which took the lives of many. The committee comprised of Supreme Court Judge Vijit Malalgoda, former IGP N.K. Ilangakon and former Law and Order Ministry Secretary Padmasiri Jayamana. Two interim reports at the completion of two stages of the investigation process were also handed over to the President.
A demonstration staged by members of the National Workers' Society of the SLTB was held at the Sirikota premises. The employees of the SLTB arrived at Sirikota this morning to discuss several issues with Minister Akila Viraj Karyavasam, including the non-receipt of salary increments in line with their promotions. However, claiming that the minister had bypassed them, members of the National Workers' Society of the SLTB staged a protest opposite the Sirikota premises. The General Secretary, Minister Akila Viraj Karyavasam, told us that we will be given 5 minutes to discuss matters. However, he bypassed us through the back door. What's the point? We sacrificed a lot for the party. During the 52-day political turmoil in the country, we risked our own lives to provide security to temple trees. However, today they are all attempting to cancel all legal appointments that were given to us. Solve this issue. Do not let this issue be diverted from one door to another. During the protest, the CEO of the UNP, Shamal Senaratne, arrived at the scene and discussed matters. A protest supporting the Minister of Finance, Mangala Samaravira, was staged in Mathura today.
UNP supporters and representatives from several other organizations joined the protest staged opposite the Mathura bus stand earlier today. The protesters point out that propaganda carried out by certain parties is baseless. The minister came to the location of the protest.
It was on a day like today, 21 years ago, that Sirasa TV came to be. Since then, Sirasa TV has been at the forefront or the helm of Sri Lanka's television industry.
Offering a unique, fresh experience to the Sri Lankan television audience, Sirasa TV was first aired on a day such as this in 1998. Marking the turning point of the future of Sri Lanka's television scene, Sirasa TV was able to capture the hearts of the Sri Lankan people through the many programs and TV shows it offered. Through the teledramas, both foreign and local, as well as through the timely and effective political shows, Sirasa TV was able to win the hearts and minds of the people. Sirasa TV was the pioneer of the reality TV culture in Sri Lanka. Through Sirasa Superstar, talented youth in the villages, even in rural Sri Lanka, were provided with a stage and have grown to become the marquee names in the Sri Lankan entertainment business. Sirasa Dancing Star, Sirasa Kumariya and Manhunt also captivated the audiences. Sirasa TV also introduced knowledge-based TV programs such as Punchi Pahemang, Sirasa Lakshapati, Pentathlon and The Debater. Sirasa was a loving neighbor to the people, coming to their aid when they were struck by tragedy during inclement weather. Throughout these 21 years, Sirasa, as a channel that feels the pulse of the people, decided to celebrate its 21st anniversary, joining in on the National Tree Planting Initiative. Happening under the theme of Heta Dawasata Husma Rakana Obat Denna, loosely translated to Join Us to Bring Fresh Air for Tomorrow, the first phase of the program took place in Gampola. The event saw 600 trees being planted across 7 acres of land in the Variagala Nisalarani Senasanaya. Group Director of Electronic Media Business of the Capital Maharaja Organization Limited, Ms. Neetra Veerasinghe, and CEO of MTV and M Entertainment, Attorney at Law Susar Dinal, were in attendance at the ceremony. We have joined in on a number of programs with the people, keeping our country first. There has been destruction in this country because trees have been cut down. We have not had rain. Last Friday, the theme of the World Environment Day was to end air pollution. We expect that through these programs and with the help of everyone, we can continue this initiative.
For the 21st celebration of Sirasa TV's launch, we have joined a cause that is of national importance. Today, by planting these trees to cover a few acres, we begin moving forward. We plan to make this hundreds of thousands of acres. By growing these trees that are 5 or 6 feet in height, trees that can self-sustain, we present these benefits to the future generations.
A special program to celebrate the event is currently underway at the Stein Studios in Ratmalana, where a grand prize will be presented to the audience.
In more news, the Ministry of Finance has issued fresh legislation revising the VAT rate for tourism-related industries to 7% instead of 5% to address issues relating to the restrictions on input credit claims. The Ministry of Finance issued a new gazette this week to revise the VAT percentage charged on tourism-related industries. The new gazette revises the VAT percentage charged on the supply of services rendered by tourism-related industries to 7%. According to the Gazette, services rendered by a hotel, guest house, restaurant or other similar business providing such services will be charged a VAT rate of 7%. The Fresh Gazette also amends the VAT percentage charged on the supply of services in respect of inbound tours provided by travel agents to 7%. The Gazette further specifies that the revised VAT rates of 7% will only be applicable for tourist institutions registered with the Sri Lanka Tourism Development Authority. The amendments to the legislation comes after the government's initial efforts to reduce the VAT rates applicable for tourism-related industries from 15% to 5%. Following the April 21st attacks, the government announced a relief package to financially support the ailing tourism industry. Among the relief measures was the much lauded reduction of value-added tax from 15% to 5%. Accordingly, on the 21st of last month, under Section 2A of the VAT Act, the Ministry of Finance issued an extraordinary Gazette notification reducing VAT rates from 15% to 5% on hotels and tour operators registered with the Sri Lanka Tourism Development Authority for a period of 1 year. However, despite the government's efforts, the current VAT Act restricted the claim of input credit if output VAT was 5%. The amendments provided by the legislation is applicable to all tourism institutions registered with the Sri Lanka Tourism Development Authority and effective from the period from 1st June 2019 to the 31st of March 2020. On a lighter note now, in the year 1999, the Dambana village received a television. The indigenous youth started watching the sport of cricket on this TV and were immediately attracted to the sport.
There could be another reason behind these youth being attracted to the sport of cricket. There is a consensus of expert opinion that cricket may have been invented during Saxon or Norman times by children living in the Weald, an area of dense woodlands and clearings in southeast England. Cricket, which started in a forest, has now spread across the globe and has entered the Dambana village. The first time the Adivasi played cricket outside their region was on the 20th of May 2011 when they played softball cricket at the Kurunagala Velagedara grounds. The only ambition of these youth are to play for the national cricket team. But they do not have the facilities and the resources to move from softball cricket to leatherball cricket. They request for the facilities and the resources for them to evolve into red ball cricket. It is evident that many of the cultural values of the indigenous community are gradually being deteriorated. Join us once again tomorrow as we will feature the ways we can revive these values.
Taking a look at yet another headline-making story for tonight, a media report has revealed that the Sri Lanka Cricket Board will face a severe financial crisis in the future. Cricket Age, a sports news website based in India, has released an article stating that the Sri Lanka Cricket Board faces a risk of going bankrupt within the next 9 months. The article adds the wrong decisions of two top officials of the Sri Lanka Cricket Board has pushed the board towards its worst financial scenario up to date. It further says this issue has arisen as an outcome of the poor administrative skills of officials, both past and present. The report also reveals several major reasons which has led to this crisis. Two of the key reasons noted in the report is, number one, the 30% salary increments given to officials. Number two, distribution of ex gratia payments to several sports clubs. The report also includes a sum of approximately $187,084 and 75 cents or 33 million Sri Lankan rupees tentatively, which was to be received by Sri Lanka Cricket for broadcasting rights, has not been received. The reports further read, the song which Sri Lanka Cricket released for the World Cup has cost it 6 million rupees. Furthermore, similar to the report carried by us at Newsfirst, this article reveals that several officials of the Sri Lanka Cricket Board have purchased 30 entrance tickets in total for 12 different matches in this year's World Cup, including the 9 matches the Sri Lankan team will participate in. The aforementioned tickets cost between 55 Great Britain pounds to 295 Great Britain pounds. The minutes of an executive committee meeting of the Sri Lanka Cricket Board has revealed that although the price of a ticket for the ODI, which was held on the 6th of June, was priced at 95 Great Britain pounds, later it had cost 195 Great Britain pounds as a result of a delay. Therefore, the price of an entrance ticket has cost roughly 44,500 Sri Lankan rupees. At present, reports have emerged that officials of Sri Lanka Cricket have allowed its executive committee members to travel to the UK for a period of 1 week to witness World Cup matches with all expenses borne by the Sri Lanka Cricket Board. Based on an email sent under the instructions of the Secretary of the Sri Lanka Cricket Board, the executive committee members will be provided with free air tickets, 3 tickets each for World Cup matches, and visa fees will be paid for. Similarly, the chairman of Sri Lanka Cricket has notified via a memo to issue letters for a group of 37 individuals representing sports clubs in order for them to obtain visa to travel to the UK to witness the World Cup matches. However, officials responsible for this act have not revealed as to how only 37 people were selected to represent a vast number of cricket clubs which operate in the country. Officials of the Sri Lanka Cricket Board seem to be spending funds of the board according to their own whims and fancies against the backdrop where the SLC has not released its audit reports to sports clubs, which ideally should have been carried out on the 31st of last month. It is not an obvious fact that the Sri Lanka Cricket Board is facing certain bankruptcy if its internal activities are being carried out in such an ignorant and disorganized manner. Sports Minister, for your attention. In more cricket-related sports news, Sri Lanka will take on Bangladesh in their 4th match of the ICC Cricket World Cup 2019 in Bristol tomorrow. Now the question is, will the Lions be able to continue their dominance over Bangladesh in the World Cup competition? Newsfirst's Martin Satyanesan filed this report.